Krishna, everyone. Nice to be here again after a short absence. I'm so pleased to see you all here. And I'd like to start by announcing that next week, on May 5th, we will have the question and answer session with Manunatha Maharaja. So please prepare your questions and send them along to him. I did listen back to some class that I missed, and I heard that some of you do have some questions to pass along to him. So let's get them in there for next week's class. Thank you so much. Now, today we'll be starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text 17. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshva Babadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yutama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. All right, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text 17. Tasya pidrastur isya siya kutastasya kilat manaha shrijam ishristoham ikshayava bikoditaha. Translation. Inspired by him only, I discover what is already created by him, Narayana, under his vision as the all-pervading supersoul, and I also am created by him only. So, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Ki Jai. Even Brahma, the creator of the universe, admits that he is not the actual creator, but is simply inspired by the Lord Narayana, and therefore creates under his superintendence those things already created by him, the supersoul of all living entities. Two identities of soul, the supersoul and the individual soul, are admitted to be in the living entity even by the greatest authority of the universe. The supersoul is the supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, whereas the individual soul is the eternal servitor of the Lord. The Lord inspires the individual soul to create what is already created by the Lord, and by the goodwill of the Lord, a discoverer of something in the world is accredited as the discoverer. It is said that Columbus discovered the Western Hemisphere, but actually the tract of land was not created by Columbus. The vast tract of land was already there by the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord, and Columbus, by dint of his past service unto the Lord, was blessed with the credit of discovering America. Similarly, no one can create anything without the sanction of the Lord, since everyone sees according to his ability. This ability is also awarded by the Lord according to one's willingness to render service unto the Lord. One must therefore be voluntarily willing to render service unto the Lord, and thus the Lord will empower the doer in proportion to his surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Brahma is a great devotee of the Lord. Therefore, he has been empowered or inspired by the Lord to create such a universe as the one manifested before us. The Lord also inspired Arjuna to fight in the field of Kurukshetra as follows. Tasmatvam utishta yaso labasva jitya jitva satrum bunshriva rajyam samridam mayavaite nihata purvam eva nimita matram bhava savayasin. From the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 33. The battle of Kurukshetra, or any other battle at any place or at any time, is made by the will of the Lord. For no one can arrange such mass annihilation without the sanction of the Lord. The party of Duryodhana insulted Draupadi, a great devotee of Krishna, and she appealed to the Lord as well as to all the silent observers of this unwarranted insult. Arjuna was then advised by the Lord to fight and take credit. Otherwise, the party of Duryodhana would be killed anyway, by the will of the Lord. So Arjuna was advised just to become the agent and take the credit for killing great generals like Bhishma and Karna. In the Vedic writings, such as the Katha Upanishad, the Lord is described as Anaratama, or the personality of Godhead who resides in everyone's body and who directs everything for one who is a soul surrendered unto him. Those who are not surrendered souls are put under the care of the material nature. Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yandra Drudani Mayaya. Therefore, they are allowed to do things on their own account and suffer the consequences themselves. Devotees like Brahma and Arjuna do not do anything on their own account, but as fully surrendered souls, they always await indications from the Lord. Therefore, they attempt to do something which appears very wonderful to ordinary vision. One of the Lord's names is Urukrama, or one whose actions are very wonderful and are beyond the imagination of the living being. So the actions of his devotees sometimes appear very wonderful due to the direction of the Lord. Beginning from Brahma, the topmost intelligent living entity within the universe, down to the smallest ant, every living entity's intelligence is overseen by the Lord in his transcendental position as the witness of all actions. The subtle presence of the Lord is felt by the intelligent man who can study the psychic effects of thinking, feeling, and willing. Okay, now I will repeat the translation of text 17. Inspired by him only, I discover what is already created by him, Narayana, under his vision as the all-pervading supersoul, and I also am created by him only. So this is a very interesting verse. I mean, what Prabhupada has written is very important for us to remember, because we tend to, because of our egos, we tend to think that we are responsible for the things that happen in our life. And we may somehow influence them, but the best way to influence them, these things, is just by being a servant to the Lord, because the Lord will provide for us everything that we need and will put us in the position that we should be in. Like Brahma was, put in the position of creating the humanity, but in reality we know that it was Krishna. Without Krishna, this would have never taken place. So even Brahma himself is humbled before the Lord, before all of the incredible, wonderful things that we see, the incredible, wonderful manifestations maybe by Brahma or even by people living in the world. But these manifestations are only manifestations of what the Lord wants. And we are only the vehicles through which these wonderful acts can become manifest. And this is true for those who believe in the Lord, and who do service to the Lord. It is also true for the others, although they may not recognize it. But without the Lord's help, they wouldn't be able to achieve anything or arrive anywhere. Because remember, we're all part of this karmic interaction, because of the way we have been in this life and in past lives. We reap the rewards. We are given the duties that are appropriate for us, and we must remain humble and realize that this is just all cause and effect, and Krishna is the one who decides what the effects are of these causes that we put into action. And this applies for everybody down to the smallest ant. The smallest ant also has a spirit soul that's, hopefully progressing. and and this presence of the Lord is felt within all of us if we only look. So, having said that, I now open up to discussion, perhaps starting with Mataji Lavanga. Welcome, and Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I want to apologize because I'm being blinded by the sun right now, but I needed a quiet place to be able to do this class. So, can you guys hear me okay? I'm not sure if you can see me, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can see you and hear you.
Okay, because I can't see my screen at all because the sun is. But anyway, um, I as you were reading this verse, also Yamuna, and as you were talking, it made me think that this is a really good purport that really explains our dependence on Krishna and also the proper attitude that a devotee has. Because first of all, Krishna, no one, as Prabhupada points out here, no one can do anything without the sanction of Krishna. And in life, there can be the tendency to take shelter of so many things. And one of the things that was mentioned in this purport here is Draupadi in the battle of Kurukshetra. And prior to this battle, there's that pastime where the Pandavas lose the gambling match, and Duryodhana convinces Yudhisthira to gamble away Draupadi. And Yudhisthira does because Kshatriyas cannot refuse a challenge. And so when Dushashana goes to bring Draupadi out, because after this happens, Duryodhana orders Dushashana to drag Draupadi, out by her hair. And even though the Pandavas are really upset about this, they're not able to do anything. And Dushashana goes, and he goes to get Draupadi, and Draupadi resists him at first. First, she says things like, well, was I still considered my husband's property before or after he gambled me away? She kind of tries to talk her way out of it. And ultimately, it doesn't work. Dushashana grabs her by her hair and he drags her out to the assembly. And they want to disrobe her. And in that moment, there's a lecture where Prabhupada makes a statement that Draupadi had 5 husbands. And they weren't ordinary husbands. They were all technically the husbands of demigods. But in the ultimate sense, nobody could protect her. but Krishna. And so when they're trying to disrobe her, she's like, "Hey Krishna, hey Govinda." And as we know, she's got these strong Kshatriya warriors all over her. And Krishna comes and he gives her unlimited sorry. So it's a good story to illustrate about how we might have desire to do something, or we have some ability, but ultimately that has to be sanctioned by Krishna, because in that moment, even though the Pandavas were such strong men, and Arjuna, he could actually defeat all the Kurus himself, and he did that once in the Mahabharata. But in that moment, there was nothing he could do to save Draupadi. Krishna had to come and save her. So it just shows that we have, Prabhupada would say often, that we have some independence or some ability, but we don't have complete. Only Krishna has this. So Brahma, he's very humbly, pointing out that he is creating already, what is inspired by Krishna. So this is what the devotee does. Krishna has some desire, and the devotee carries it out. The devotee shows up, and the devotee gets the credit, but ultimately that was sanctioned by Krishna. But the very sweet thing is that even though Krishna is completely independent, he likes to give his devotee credit. So, as mentioned here, the battle of Kurukshetra, another point on this is that Krishna says, they're already all defeated, all these Kurus, but you can show up and get the credit. So Arjuna showed up and he got the credit, and Krishna is the one that took the humble position and became Arjuna's chariot driver. So if we analyze this a little bit deeper, we see that there's this beautiful rasa, this beautiful relationship between Krishna and his devotee, where Krishna wants to give the devotee credits. Krishna wants the devotee to show up and take the credits. But the devotee knows that, ultimately Krishna's carrying all this out. Krishna's the one doing it. I'm just acting on his behalf. So it's this beautiful, loving exchange that's going on. And it's a loving exchange that's actually open to all of us as well. When we're in connection with Krishna, when we're, following this process of Krishna consciousness. Similar thing happened with Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord Chaitanya goes to Ramananda Roy to hear about bhakti. And Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But yet he's going to Ramananda Roy, who is actually considered in a lower caste at this time. And Lord Chaitanya is going and receiving instructions from him and asking him questions. And one of the beautiful things is Ramananda Roy is telling him, I'm answering these questions, but I'm only able to say what you're inspiring me to say. Like, you're the one doing it. But yet Lord Chaitanya, he's like, no, keep on going. I want to hear from you. I want to keep learning from you. So it's a very sweet, loving exchange that's happening here. So even though our independence might be limited, and our we don't have this unlimited ability to do whatever we would like to do. It has to be sanctioned by Krishna. But when one is acting in accordance with what Krishna desires, everything is much sweeter because Krishna directs and guides everything. So this is just a couple of realizations I had in along the point of what you were saying.
Yes.
And I'll also open it up if somebody else has something that they
Yes.
would like to add.
This is very, very true what you're saying. I just wanted to add a little question, a little food for thought, and maybe a question to submit to Maharaj next week. Um, if these things are all planned by Krishna and they would take place no matter who are the actors, does this apply to our current events? I mean, everybody thinks war is terrible, but yet Krishna makes war happen. Would war be taking place right now, even if there were different leaders involved, with those different leaders also be doing this same terrible, terrible war, which I'm sure the Kurukshetra war was terrible for those who were involved in it. I'm sure that people weren't saying, "Oh, this is, this is the way it's supposed to be." As they were dying, I'm sure they felt, they felt scared, and that the war was unjust at the moment. That why are innocent people dying, and that's going on in the world all the time, and especially right now. We all know specifically what I'm talking about, and you know, I wonder if it's Krishna's will and if it was just meant to be, regardless of who is in charge. You know, something that a question that I can't answer, but it's a kind of food for thought. Amy.
Well, regarding that, I mean, I'm pretty sure definitely 200% that Guru Maharaj has a much greater answer than, than what I could give. But in my personal opinion, in my humble opinion, I think Krishna does not like necessarily interfere like in the karma. I mean, he is the ultimate controller of everything, but also sometimes humans choose out of Krishna's will. Like they're not necessarily choosing out of Krishna's will, but maybe out of ignorance. And obviously, karma has to play out because it's the law of nature, which would be prakriti, right? And it's also under Krishna's control. But if it happens, it's necessarily because maybe karma is playing out, and it's playing out in the, different people have different karma, but sometimes people are grouped in a country or in a place because of their karma. And then there's a I think Guru Maharaj already answered something about group karma, but it plays out also. Nations have karma and things like that. So that's how much I can say about that. Like, I don't know if I'm completely right or not. Maybe I'm not, but Guru Maharaj can definitely give a better answer than me.
Yes, of course. So, are there any other comments about this verse that we just read?
Hare Krishna. I would like to
Yes.
say something.
Yes.
About yeah, I'm so glad that you asked the question you just asked, because when we were reading that passage just now and it said it's not possible, for so many people to die without the will of the Lord, I was like, whoa, like thinking about. So yeah, I'm really glad it wasn't just me. Um, I was thinking about this thing that Prabhupada said, like if there is like a construction manager, like the top person, like that'd be Krishna, and he has the blueprint to everything. Like he knows everything that's going on. He like has that blueprint. Like he knows. But just because he knows doesn't mean like he's there. And maybe I'm like have this wrong, but that doesn't mean like he's there personally in that moment. And like I was reading like the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, and it said like that he is present. What is it? Like he's present two different ways. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's there, but at the same time, like he's aloof, And so, like, yeah, we're in Kali Yuga. Like, we're here in Kali Yuga because, we've been really bad. And so, like, as a result of our karma, but that doesn't mean like Krishna is there personally, like in that moment. Like, just what I said makes sense.
It
Yes.
does. It
Yes, it
does.
does. Very good.
It's
Um,
like what you're
Absolutely.
saying is he's there, but
mhm.
also he's not like it. interfering necessarily, but he also has a mechanism in place, which is the laws of nature. And, he's the controller of everything. Nothing moves without his will. So he allows things to happen also because his creation is perfect. Everything is in divine order, everything is divine timing, everything is with his will, but also even the things that people think that are acting outside his will is also regulated by his laws of nature that he created. So everything's under his will anyways.
Yeah,
Yes.
like, and I just also wanted to add, like I read in a Prabhupada purport that like our eyelids don't even blink without the sanction of by Krishna or by through the demigods rather. And so it's like we think that we are the one doing things, just like Columbus thought that he was the one discovering America. Like we think, oh, I'm studying so well, I'm learning so many verses, I can do kirtan so well. But it's just everything is just Krishna and we're just really just like puppets playing out, you know, the will of Krishna or the will of Maya, whichever we decide to put ourselves under the control
Yes.
under. But anyway, so I just wanted to say, like, I know like really like horrible things are happening, but like that doesn't mean like Krishna's there. I can't remember exactly the wording. It's like personally and impersonally. I know I'm getting this wrong, but anyway, I guess that's just what I had to add. So thank you. That's it.
I mean, you're not getting anything wrong. Actually, everything like both of you said is really nice. And also I think I just wanted to say this one point because it's important to understand this is that just because Krishna sanctions something doesn't necessarily mean that it's like his desire. So in the fourth canto, there's a purport where Prabhupada's talking about Paramatma, and he says Paramatma is telling a thief, like somebody wants to be a thief, okay, you can go rob this house, but at the same time telling the owner of the house, okay, lock your doors. So when we put ourselves under the material nature, because we are marginal potency, we can be under the spiritual energy or under the material energy. So when we're putting ourselves under the material energy, then we're acting out according to karma and creating karma. So in that sense, Krishna might sanction something, but that's not necessarily his desire. So to make it a little bit easier to understand, Prabhupada said back in World War II, the ladies would go to the church and pray, please send my husband back home. But then Prabhupada said, but they never asked God about starting the war in the first place. So ordinary war in this material world, that doesn't necessarily mean it's like the battle Kurukshetra, that, oh, yes, Krishna is wanting this. A lot of times the war can be because of unnecessary animal slaughter going on, or animal slaughter, I'm sorry, like slaughtering of cows, reactions for things like this. But the battle Kurukshetra is different in the sense that the battle Kurukshetra was Krishna's arrangement to rid the world of demoniac kings. Because Bhumi Devi went and prayed to, or she went to Brahma and said, hey, this is what's going on. I'm being overburdened. Brahma then went to Vishnu. Vishnu said, hey, don't worry. Krishna's going to appear soon. I'm summarizing. And then in order to wipe them all out, you had the battle of Kurukshetra. But however, that pastime is very different from people receiving the reactions of their results from this material world that are ultimately, being sanctioned by Paramatma because people have the desire to enjoy independently of Krishna. And I'm very sorry, Yamuna, but I just wanted to add that.
That's a very good distinction. That's a very good distinction to make. And I just want to pause here and give Madhuri a chance to express what she has on her mind.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, everyone. Yeah, actually, most of the point has been covered by Lavanga. Mataji and Abhi Mataji. But just like she said, with the Kurukshetra, or also there were events when we talk about like how the gambling was, Pandavas were involved because of their karma. And then in the end of the war, when Gandhari asked, kind of confronted Lord Krishna, saying that you could have stopped the war and this and that, but because there are series of events of karma for each and every character in that Mahabharata as a Leela, so that is also, which takes place. So I again relate to this point where Abhi Mataji was telling about like how Prabhupada said that Krishna is the controller, but at the same time he's not interfering with all the others, deeds and uh, doings what they have done in their past lives or maybe the current lives.
Okay. Is there a further comment from Bhakta Rich? No?
Hare Krishna, Yamuna Mataji. I apologize. I had a hard time concentrating. I know I could have done better concentrating. I vaguely remember the verse and the purport. Just that things are being done, it's Krishna, but like it's being done through the agent of Brahma. And I really like what Bhakti and Amy said about our eyes can't even blink without Krishna. I always think of the part where it says, not even a blade of grass moves without, Krishna's sanction. So it's nice to remember those things in my daily life whenever I'm doing something or whenever something happens. It could be something outside like a plant move or an ant, and I just always think to myself like Krishna's in control and this is happening because Krishna sanctioned it. That's all I have to say.
Very good. That's the most important point. So be pleased with yourself. Any further comment on this verse? Okay. That means
I just wanted to say one
okay.
thing, just a little thing. I really, because I like little details like that. At the end of the purport, it says, the subtle presence of the Lord is felt by the intelligent man who can study the psychic effects of thinking, feeling, and willing. I don't know exactly how it is, but it's like maybe in the little things in life, like the little details that you think, oh, that was Krishna, like Bhakta Rich was saying, or maybe you've been praying for something and it suddenly comes into your existence, and you realize that the Lord is doing that for you, that the Lord is giving you his mercy. Or even if something you don't get what you want, like something negative happens and you maybe you feel sad, but maybe you're being protected from something because you're not having the way that you want it, because it's better the way Krishna wants it. And it's a good little thing to just think about those little signs that you get in life that Krishna is there.
That's right. We have to take our ego out of it. It's not what pleases us or what we think is right, but it's what should be according to Krishna. We have to accept certain things even if we're not pleased by them. But would Mother Lamanga, would you be kind enough to read the next verse? Can you see well enough to do that?
Yeah, I can see my phone. It's okay. I get it right here.
All right.
We're on 18 now, right? Okay.
Yes.
Sattva-rajas tamayiti nirgunasya gunastraya sthiti sarga nirodeshu grihita mayaya vibho. The Supreme Lord is pure, the Supreme Lord is pure, spiritual, form, transcendental to all material qualities. Yet for the sake of the creation of the material world and its maintenance and annihilation, he accepts through his external energy the material modes of nature called goodness, passion, and ignorance. Report. The Supreme Lord is the master of the external energy manifested by the three material modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. And as master of this energy, He is ever unaffected by the influence of such bewildering energy. The living entities, the jivas, however, are affected by, are susceptible to being influenced by such modes of material nature. That is the difference between the Lord and the living entities. The living entities are subjected by those qualities, although originally the living entities are qualitatively one with the Lord. In other words, the material modes of nature, being products of the energy of the Lord, are certainly connected with the Lord, but the connection is just like that between the master and the servants. The Supreme Lord is the controller of the material energy, whereas the living entities who are entangled in the material world are neither masters nor controllers. Rather, they become subordinate to or controlled by such energy. Factually, the Lord is eternally manifested by his internal potency or spiritual energy, just like the sun and its rays in the clear sky. But at times, he creates material energy as the sun creates a cloud in the clear sky. As the sun is ever increasingly unaffected by a spot of cloud, so also the unlimited Lord is unaffected by the spot of material energy manifested at times in the unlimited span of the Lord's rays of Brahmajyoti. So I'll read the verse again. The Supreme Lord is pure, spiritual, form, transcendence to all material qualities. Yet, for the sake of creation of the material world and its maintenance and annihilation, he accepts through his external energy the material modes of nature called goodness, passion, and ignorance. As I was reading this, I was trying to think of a verse in Bhagavad Gita, in the 14th chapter. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up here. I think it's at the very, might be at the very end. Hold on, let me see here. 1 second. Okay, yeah, this is it. Mam chayo via bicharina bhakti yogina sevate sa gunyan samati yaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and comes to the level of Brahman. So, this when I was thinking about this purport, it made me think about how the three modes of material nature act on us, and a lot of times we act in certain ways because we are being influenced by these modes. And Prabhupada once made the comment that you can tell what mode somebody is under according to how they are behaving. So, for example, if one sees a mess in a room and they have no desire to clean up this mess, you can understand that they're in the mode of ignorance. If one likes things to be very clean, you can understand that they're in the mode of goodness. If one is just very like go 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 all the time and like never stopping and always striving to get after this goal after that goal, they're very much in the mode of passion. You meet people like that, very high level career oriented people. They never sleep. You go so. And this way we can see how the modes of material nature control us. And a lot of times we can think that we're independent, but unless we're engaging in in devotional service, these modes of nature, they pull us. Like it's like puppets on a string, here and there. And there's a very nice article about this written in Back to Godhead. If you guys want to read it, it's called "Who's Pulling the Strings." You can Google this. It's written by Vishaka Dasi, I think. Very old Back to Godhead article, and it talks about this one family that is heavily in the mode of passion. They're constantly working. They got this nice 401k, but at the same time, they're arguing, they're bickering, and they're never really satisfied in their position. And then they're in the mode of passion. And then this other couple, they live in like this squatter house, and they take all these intoxicants, and they have this desire to start this farm over in Europe somewhere, and they're gonna plant all these vegetables, but it never goes beyond actual planning. So that's mode of ignorance. It's like you're kind of just not active. You have these ideas, but you're never able to carry them out. And then there's this other family, they're very pious. They're very family oriented, they're very regulated in their habits, and everything in their space is very clean, and they're very much into acquiring knowledge. This is the mode of goodness. So in spiritual life, in order to transcend the Krishna consciousness, has to come to the mode of goodness. So a lot of our habits that we have are to bring us out of passion and ignorance up into the mode of goodness so that we can transcend. However, one has to be careful in the mode of goodness, because the thing about the mode of goodness is that it's illuminating. So you have all this knowledge, your mind is very peaceful, but you can start to think that you're happy in this material world, and this is the trap of goodness. So I had a friend once, she was doing preaching programs in these communities that were very mode of goodness. These people meditated every day. A lot of them were vegetarian. They had very regular habits in what they did. They avoided intoxicants. But whenever they would go there to do a kirtan, people would come and they would join in the kirtan. But they never really took to the process of Krishna consciousness. They were just kind of going to this spiritual thing, going to that spiritual thing, because they were thinking, okay, we're already satisfied in this material world. So one can become, as the Bhagavad Gita says, one becomes conditioned with a sense of happiness. And you're not thinking about the miseries of death, you're not thinking about the miseries of birth and things like this. However, Krishna himself, he never gets influenced by these modes. They work for him. He doesn't work for them. So while sometimes we have to sleep, we have to be active and get up. Krishna doesn't have to do any of these things. He's not compelled. So, but when one, however, surrenders to Krishna in devotional service, the effects of these modes are less, and one ultimately transcends them. So, I don't want to spend the whole time talking here. If I keep going, then I'm not going to shut up, and it's going to be 6 o'clock. So I'll stop right there. And if anybody else has anything they would like to add, they can go ahead.
Yes, Mother Lalanga, I would just like to add, from the purport where it says, factually, the Lord is eternally manifested by his internal potency or spiritual energy, just like the sun and its rays in the clear sky, but at times he creates the material energy as the sun creates a cloud in the clear sky. In other words, he is always present, but at times he sends these clouds. It's almost like he's sending them on purpose, to maybe to make us realize something, or to make us, learn through the experiences that we go through. It's not just all handed to us on a silver platter. We have to, deal with these modes, and we have to overcome their influence in order to really achieve this knowledge of the supreme, or this not knowledge of the supreme, but this this connection with the supreme. It, are there more comments here? Amy or Abby? Amy?
I was it called my attention what Lavanga was saying about the friends that she has, that like some of them just go to spiritual things. I have friends like that, and I've tried to like kind of gently lure them into Krishna consciousness, but they just like it doesn't, I don't know, because I don't like to be, I think it should be in a loving way. I think it should be in a in allowing the person, obviously, their free will to wish to come or not. So if they then tell me like, yes, I would have loved to do this. Let's say, for example, I had a friend that I brought to the Bhagavad Gita group, and she wanted to go and she was very excited, but then, life happened to her, so she's kind of like, maybe this is not my time or something like that. And I just didn't push further because I understood where she was at this point right now. But I do know that she also sometimes takes things to, I don't know how to say, like in a relaxed way, like she'll go to different yoga classes or different spiritual things, events or whatever, but it doesn't really stick, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe she still eats meat, and it's been a long time. Like I've been 8 years with the principles, with the regulative principles, but that came naturally to me with my progress in my practice, right? But in her practice, she hasn't been able to, and she still does some things. I'm not judging her or anything. I'm just saying that I'm wondering how is she going to be able to get out of it and into like at least the mode of good. I don't know. Just like how is she going to make progress? Because sometimes I don't really understand. I know it has to do with determination, but it also has to do with Krishna's will, as we were speaking before. Like Krishna has also to will it so that you can progress. But also, I think a lot of your determination has to be there too, because as I was doing my sadhana, let's say, and I progressed in certain places, but I could also perceive where there was a block or there was a limitation. Like I'm trying so hard, and I can't get past this. And eventually, yes, it has like, obviously I'm here. I'm in my Krishna consciousness process, and I understand that this is something because of God's costless mercy, right? And it's not something maybe related to karma or something like that, is what I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And my determination has been so that I have continued. I know that that's part of my determination, that I have continued despite the blocks and despite whatever. I've been steadfast, if anything, and that's why maybe I have been able to.
Sure.
And sometimes other people just get like, I don't know, deluded and in the
This is a very good observation, but remember, it's not a good idea to compare yourself with others or
no,
to
no, I'm not
compare
trying
others
to
to
compare
yourself.
myself with others. I'm
Because
just
everybody's
speaking.
path is an individual path, and some people are not looking really for Krishna consciousness yet. Some people are just there because they want to merge with the Brahma Jyoti in this
Yeah,
lifetime, and that's fine.
and that's
That's
fine.
fine.
That's their,
Because maybe
that's
they
where they
come to
are.
in a different lifetime or whatever. It's not for us to
It's where
judge
they are.
or
Yeah,
to
yeah.
compare.
I'm not.
So
I'm
I
not
would
judging.
step back a minute there and and give your friend a break because
No, I'm not comparing myself.
it's not your place to convince them.
No, I'm
It's
not trying to
their place
convince
to
them.
want to learn and to choose the sources that they wish to learn from. But we cannot convince anybody who's not open to the information that we're sharing. And just
Yes.
because it's the best for us at this moment doesn't mean that it's necessarily the best for them at this
No, I
moment.
understand
They have
perfectly.
their
I'm
own
I'm not
process.
trying to say that I was
So,
comparing myself. I'm just
yeah.
speaking from my own experience in how I live my personal sadhana, and speaking from a friend's experience where she's not where I am right now. I'm not judging her
And
for
that
that
doesn't
either.
matter.
That's
It
her
doesn't matter
place.
at all.
I
It doesn't
understand that.
matter at all.
It doesn't matter. I'm just
Yes.
saying Like,
Abby? Bhakti Abby?
Hare Krishna. I was just wondering, Lavanga Mataji, that one quote that you read, do you mind, or if you had it memorized, can you say it again? Through devotional service, you immediately transcend the modes of goodness. Can you say that one more
Yeah,
time?
it's Bhagavad Gita 14:27.
Uh,
Yeah, let me open this back up. 1 second. Uh, sorry, Bhagavad Gita 14:26. One who
mhm.
engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Okay, thank you. It's like that Bhagavatam verse. Haituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Devotional service has to be continuous and haituki and causeless to be satisfying to the soul. And so I was thinking, like, if you are engaging in devotional service, then you're able to, like, transcend the modes of, like, the modes of material nature. So I was thinking, like, well, if you're really engaging in devotional service, you're doing it for Krishna. So it's just like kind of thinking, like, how everything I do is just really for myself, like down, like everything. It's like, what do I feel like doing now? What do I feel like doing today? Oh, do I want that service at that temple? I don't really feel like doing that service. And it's never for me, it's kind of just always like what I feel like what I want. Like it's not really about like what Krishna wants. Like I dovetail it, I think is the term they use. Like, I offer the food as prasadam, but did I really cook it for Krishna? No, I bought it for myself. I bought, like what I wanted and then I just like offered it. So I was just thinking like I don't know. I guess it's just because of mine or our just like selfishness, self-centeredness is just like, oh my God, just like the root cause of everything. And if we could just like not be so selfish, then we wouldn't be so, under the modes of material nature all the time. I feel like what Prabhupada, how he says like people are just like cats and dogs, like you're here, you're there, just doing whatever you want. And I really feel like, I just am in the exact same situation as them. I just dovetail my activities for Krishna, a little bit. So I don't know. I was just thinking about that. That's
Well,
Yeah.
it.
yeah,
This is a very good point to make because it's your own personal process, and if you want to go further into it, you will, and if you don't, if you feel lazy or whatever, or you don't, there's nobody that can convince you. You have to decide on your own, and as you begin to do these things, you will see positive results, and it will reinforce what it is that you're doing. But it's not, pleasing Krishna is is important, but pleasing Krishna should be what pleases you, not that what pleases you is something that doesn't please Krishna. And if it is, then you're going off on another route, you know. But if you're doing it, trying to please Krishna, you're on the right track. And you say, well, I'm doing it for myself. Well, this is true. Possibly. I mean, when we prepare prasadam, we're thinking about what it is that we personally can eat. I mean, in our house, we don't prepare prasadam that we're not going to eat. Maybe at the temple we do. Maybe there are some people don't eat dairy products or something like that, but yet they offer dairy products to Krishna or whatever. That's a different story. But in your own personal life, in your own personal home, you are the one who decides. So just having a consciousness that maybe you're being selfish and that you would rather, devote more of your energies towards pleasing Krishna, that's the first step, of course. Um,
Thank you.
yes. who would like to add something to that before we
Yeah,
close?
it's a process. This process of Krishna consciousness. I mean, it is when we're starting, we're taking things that we like to eat, things that we like to do, and we're offering that to Krishna. That's not the same selfishness as somebody else that's just doing something for themselves. I mean, the ultimate stage of bhakti is Anyala Bilashita Shunyam. It's the highest stage. Whatever Krishna wants, whatever Krishna desires, I'm there. But really, what Krishna wants is loving devotion. So if you like arepas, make arepas for Krishna and make that with loving devotion, and Krishna will be satisfied. For following the orders of spiritual master, Krishna will be satisfied. And when we're taking our activities and we're doing those for Krishna. Oh wait, sorry. I got distracted. When people write stuff in the chat, I like totally get distracted sometimes. Yeah. So when we're taking our propensities and our actions and we're offering that to Krishna, with as much love as we can, even if it's something we like, that's not selfish, because it's a step above just doing it because we're wanting to enjoy the senses. And then also, along with I'll think I'll make a point about what Amy said. Your friend has your association, so she's gonna make advancement, and everything's gonna be all right. Like Prabhupada says once that we can get instructions when we're on the ground when we're flying, but ultimately we have to fly our own plane. So there's maybe she is doing these different things, and okay, but in the span of eternality, this life is very short. So Krishna's working on her, and Krishna sent you. So she has your association for whenever she wants to go deeper, you're gonna be there. So Krishna is already working in her life.
Yes, yes. And I know that she's going through some things right now. And I had my moment where I went through some things. And I'm not comparing at all. I'm just saying that I can understand where she's coming from. And I'm not judging her at all either. Actually, I love her very much, and it pains me to see her or anybody for any matter suffer, because I've suffered a lot myself in life, and it hurts me to see other people suffer. And I know that everybody has their own path, and I know that and it's okay, whatever they choose, because all paths lead to Krishna anyway. So,
Yes, and just as you went through your suffering and came through it a better
yeah,
person, your friend will go through her suffering and come through it whenever that moment is, whether it's soon or in the next lifetime, but she has to
exactly.
go through it as well.
Yeah,
And
and I mean, I'm in no position to help anybody anyway,
we can only help
maybe.
ourselves. That's true.
Exactly, exactly. I have to you have to put on your mask, your oxygen mask first before you try and attempt saving, so helping somebody else breathe. So,
Right.
but on the way we try to just like be kind or try to help people, even if we're not in the position to do that, we try. That's what I said.
Absolutely. And that's why we're all here. So, having said that, I just want to remind everybody that next week we will have the question and answer session with Manunatha Maharaj. Please submit your questions. And then the following week we'll continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam with the text number 19. Um, Please. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I'm here just to facilitate the conversation, and I just want you to know that I respect you all. Okay? So, Srila Manunata Ki Jai! Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai!
Yay!
And see, Hare Krishna. See you
Hare
all next
Krishna. See
time.
you guys next week. This
Hare
was
Krishna, see
awesome.
you all.
Thank you. Oh, hey, your daughter.
Piku.